A woman came in looking at a new RAV4. Good credit, solid down payment, knew exactly what she wanted. She left 4 hours later with a payment she could afford and a handshake from my manager. 3 weeks after that, she called the dealership screaming because she just figured out what we did to her. And the thing is, everything we did was legal. Every single piece of it. I sold cars for Toyota for 20 years, spent most of that time on the floor, the last 6 running deals at the desk. And in that time, the game changed. Not the fundamentals, those are the same as they've been for decades, but the execution. The tricks got quieter, the paperwork got more complex, and the profit centers we used to extract money from customers became so buried in the process that most people don't catch them until it's way too late. I'm going to walk you through the new playbook, not the old stuff everyone already knows about. The new moves that dealerships started running in the last few years that are absolutely cleaning people out. Some of this is going to make you angry. Some of it's going to make you feel like an idiot if it happened to you. But all of it is happening right now, today, at dealerships across the country. And if you don't know what to look for, you're going to get worked. Here's what nobody tells you about modern dealerships. They've gotten smarter about where they hide the profit. It used to be front-end heavy. Markup on the car, games with the trade, maybe some back-end F&I products. Easy to see if you knew where to look. Now, they've spread it across 6 different touch points in the deal, and each one looks small enough that you don't fight it. But when you add them all up, they're pulling $8,000 to $12,000 out of deals that customers think they won. I watched it happen every single day for years, and I helped engineer it. You want to know the scariest part? Most of the people getting hit with this stuff did their research. They came in prepared, they negotiated hard, and they still got taken because the game moved and nobody told them where it went. I'll tell you where it went. First scam, mandatory dealer-installed accessories that were already on the car when you saw it. This one's brilliant, and it's spreading like wildfire. Here's how it works. You walk the lot, you find a car you like, you test drive it. It's got mud flaps, it's got all weather mats, maybe it's got a cargo tray or a roof rack or window tint. You assume that's just how the car came. It's not. The dealer installed all of that after the car hit the lot, and now they're charging you for it. And they're calling it mandatory. You sit down to go over numbers, and buried in the worksheet there's a line item. Dealer installed accessories, $2,850. You ask what that is. They say it's the accessories that came on the vehicle. You say you didn't ask for those. They say every car on the lot has them. It's dealership policy, non-negotiable. And technically, they're right. They did install them on every car, which means if you want that car, you're paying for it. Here's the thing that makes this so effective. You already fell in love with the car. You drove it. You've been negotiating for an hour. You're mentally committed. And now they're telling you the accessories you thought were included are actually a required add-on that costs $3,000. Most people just eat it because they don't want to start over. We do this on every new car that came in. Mud flaps, all-weather mats, door edge guards, maybe nitrogen in the tires if we were feeling aggressive. Cost us maybe $400 in parts and labor. We'd charge $2,850. That's $2,400 in pure profit, and it's tied to the car, not the deal, which means it doesn't show up when you're negotiating price. The counter move is simple, but you've got to do it early. Before you test drive anything, before you even walk the lot, you ask the salesperson, do you install mandatory accessories on your inventory? And if so, can I see a car without them? If they say every car has them, you say, then I need to see the cost breakdown for those accessories before we talk about anything else, and I need to know if they're removable. Half the time, they'll back off the mandatory part real fast. The other half, you've at least got the number in front of you before you're emotionally invested. Second scam, market adjustment fees disguised as reconditioning or certification. You've heard of market adjustments. Everyone has. Dealer slaps $5,000 on top of MSRP because the market's hot and they can. People hate it, but at least it's obvious. What's happening now is dealers are burying that same markup under a different name, so it doesn't trigger your defenses. You're looking at a used car, let's say a 3-year-old Camry, clean, low miles. The price on the window is $24,500. You do your research, that's about right for the market. You sit down to talk numbers, and there's a line item on the worksheet, reconditioning fee, $1,995, or certification prep, $2,500. You ask what that is. They say it's the cost to get the car ready for sale. Detailing, inspection, maybe some small repairs. Sounds reasonable, right? Except here's the problem. That's not reconditioning. That's the baseline cost of doing business that's already baked into the price of the car. Every used car gets detailed. Every used car gets inspected. That's not an extra service you're paying for. That's the dealership charging you twice for the same thing. We'd run this on nearly every used car we sold. The car's already priced at market. The reconditioning's already done. But we'd add the line item anyway because it sounds legitimate, and most people don't know enough to push back. It's just another couple grand in profit that flies under the radar because it's not called a markup. And here's the really ugly part. Some dealers started doing this on new cars too. They'd call it a dealer prep fee or a market reconditioning charge, which makes 0 cents on a car that came straight from the factory, but people paid it anyway because it was buried in a dozen other fees and charges. If you see any line item that says reconditioning, prep, certification fee, or anything similar, you ask this: is this fee above and beyond the advertised price? And what specifically was done to this car that isn't standard for every car you sell? Make them itemize it. Make them justify it. 9 times out of 10, it'll disappear or get cut in half the second you question it. Third scam: extended loan terms presented as lower payments without explaining the true cost. This one's not new, but the way it's being sold now is. It used to be that if a dealer pushed you into a 72 or 84-month loan, it was pretty obvious what was happening. Now, they're framing it as a financial planning tool, and people are falling for it because it sounds responsible. You're negotiating a deal, and you tell them you want to keep the payment under $500 a month. They run some numbers and come back and say, "Great news! We can get you to $470 a month, and we built in some flexibility for you in case your situation changes." You ask what that means. They say they structured the loan at 72 months instead of 60, so you've got lower payments and more breathing room in your budget. And they're framing it like they did you a favor. What they're not telling you is that you're now paying interest for 6 years instead of 5, which means you're going to pay $3,000 to $5,000 more over the life of the loan than you would have at 60 months. They're also not telling you that you're going to be upside down on that car for 4 years, which means if you want to trade it in or sell it before the loan's done, you're buried. But none of that gets mentioned because they're too busy congratulating you on your low payment. We'd push people into these extended terms constantly. 72 months was standard, 84 if we could get away with it. I even saw a few 96-month loans on trucks, 8 years to pay off a vehicle that's going to need major repairs at year 6, and we'd sell it as a benefit. Lower payment, more flexibility, easier on your budget. Sounds great until you realize you're paying interest on a depreciating asset for 8 years. Here's what you do. When they give you a payment, you ask 2 questions. What's the term on this loan? And what's the total amount I'll pay over the life of the loan, including interest? If the term is longer than 60 months, you say, "Show me what this looks like at 60 months." If they say the payment's too high, you say, "Then we need to talk about the price of the car, not the length of the loan." You're forcing them to negotiate the actual cost instead of hiding it in time. Fourth scam: mandatory insurance products bundled into the loan without clear disclosure. Gap insurance, extended warranty, tire and wheel protection, paint protection, theft deterrence. These are all products that dealerships sell in the F&I office, and they're all optional. Except more and more dealerships are starting to bundle them into the deal by default and making it sound like they're required. You're sitting in F&I, the finance manager's going through the paperwork, and they say something like, "Okay, we've got you set up with gap coverage and the extended warranty that brings your payment to $512 a month." They say it fast, they say it casually, and they keep moving. You don't even register that you just agreed to buy products you didn't ask for, or they'll frame it differently. We include gap and warranty on all our finance deals. It's part of our certified program, which makes it sound mandatory. It's not. Nothing in F&I is mandatory except the loan itself and whatever insurance your state requires. But they're betting you don't know that, and they're betting you won't stop the process to ask. I watched finance managers pack deals with 4 or 5 different products, add $6,000 or $7,000 to the loan, and the customer wouldn't even realize it until they got home and looked at the contract. By then it's too late, or at least that's what we wanted them to think. You can cancel most of this stuff, but most people don't know that, so they just eat it. Here's the move. When you sit down in F&I, before they start going through products, you say this: "I'm not interested in any additional products. If there's anything in this contract beyond the vehicle loan, I want to know about it up front, and I want to approve it before we move forward." You're setting the boundary early. And when they start presenting products, you make them stop and explain each one individually. what it costs, what it covers, and whether it's optional. Don't let them bundle. Don't let them rush. Make them slow down and itemize everything. Fifth scam. Lowball trade-in offers paired with inflated new car discounts to hide the real numbers. This is old school Foursquare stuff, but it's been refined to the point where it's almost invisible. Now, here's how it works in the modern version. You're trading in a car, you tell them you did your research, you know it's worth around $12,000. They look at it, they run it through their system, and they come back and say, "Bad news. We're seeing a lot of these on the market right now, and the best we can do is $9,500. You push back, you show them the comps. They say the comps don't account for wholesale auction prices and 95 is the number. But then they say, here's what I can do. I talked to my manager and we're going to give you $4,500 off the new car to make up for it. So even though the trade number's lower than you wanted, you're still getting a great deal overall. And they show you the math. New car MSRP is $32,000. They're discounting it to $27,500. Your trade is $9,500. Your net cost is $18,000. That sounds pretty good, right? Except here's the scam. That $4,500 discount was always available. It's not a concession they're making to offset the trade. It's the standard discount on that car, or it's a rebate that was already on the table, or it's a combination of incentives you would have gotten anyway. They just held it back so they could use it as a bargaining chip to make you accept the lowball trade offer. What really happened is they stole $2,500 from your trade and then gave you back money that was already yours to make you feel like you won. And because they bundled it together, you can't see where the profit actually is. We'd run this on almost every deal that involved a trade. Lowball the trade by $2,000 or $3,000, then discount the new car by an amount that was already baked into our numbers. The customer walks away thinking they got a deal because the discount was bigger than the hit they took on the trade. But the math doesn't work that way. We just moved money around to hide where we were really making it. The counter is to separate the two transactions completely. You say, I want to negotiate the trade separately from the new car purchase. Give me your best offer on the trade with no connection to the new car, and then we'll talk about the price of the new car independently. If they refuse, you say, then I'll sell the car privately and come back with cash. Half the time, the trade offer gets better real fast. The other half, you actually do sell it privately and you pocket the extra $2,000 or $3,000 they were trying to take from you. Sixth scam. Digital retailing tools that lock you into terms before you ever get to the dealership. This one's the newest and it's spreading fast. A lot of dealerships now have online tools where you can build your deal from home. Pick the car, estimate your trade, get pre-approved for financing, even schedule delivery. Sounds convenient, sounds transparent. It's not. It's a trap. Here's how it works. You go on the dealer's website, you find a car you like, you start the process. The tool asks for your information, name, address, income, social security number for the credit check. You plug it all in because it's easier than doing it at the dealership. The tool gives you a payment estimate. Let's say it says $500 a month. You think, okay, that works. You submit the application. What you don't realize is that you just gave the dealership everything they need to structure the deal before you ever walked in. They've got your credit profile. They know what rate you qualify for. They know what you can afford. And now, when you show up, they're not negotiating with you. They're confirming the deal that's already been built in their favor. And here's the really ugly part. A lot of these tools auto-select products and terms that benefit the dealer. The loan term defaults to 72 months. Gap insurance is pre-checked. The interest rate is marked up half a point from what you actually qualify for. And because it's all digital, it feels official, like that's just what the computer spit out. But the computer's programmed by the dealership, and it's programmed to maximize their profit. I watched dealerships roll this out, and the close rate went through the roof because people showed up thinking the deal was already done. They'd signed the online paperwork, they'd agreed to the terms, and now they just wanted to pick up the car. We'd barely have to sell them anything. They sold themselves. If you use one of these tools, treat it like a starting point, not a final offer. When you get to the dealership, you say, I know what the online tool showed me, but I want to go through the numbers in person and make sure everything's accurate. You verify the rate, you verify the term, you verify every product and fee. And if something's different from what you expected, you push back. Don't assume the computer gave you the best deal. It didn't. It gave you the deal the dealership wanted you to take. Seventh scam. Forcing you into dealer financing by holding the keys or title until you agree. This one's borderline illegal depending on the state, but it's happening more and more, especially with high-demand inventory. You negotiate a deal, you agree on a price, and you tell them you're paying cash or you've got financing through your credit union. They say, fine, no problem. But then when it's time to close, they start dragging their feet. They say the title's not ready yet. They say they need to run your credit just to have it on file. They say their system requires a loan application even if you're paying cash. And then they say, you know what? While we're waiting, let me show you what our financing looks like. We might be able to beat your credit union rate. What they're doing is stalling until you get tired or frustrated enough to just take their financing so you can leave. I've seen deals where the customer sat in the dealership for 6 hours because the dealer kept finding reasons to delay the cash transaction. And eventually, the customer gave in and financed through the dealer just to get out of there. That's not an accident. That's strategy. Or worse, on deliveries, they'll hand you the keys and let you drive off, but they'll hold the title and tell you it'll be mailed in a few weeks. Except it doesn't get mailed. You call to follow up, and they say there's an issue with the paperwork, and the easiest way to resolve it is to refinance through them. And now you're stuck because you've already got the car, you've already made the emotional commitment, and you just want the title so you can be done. If you're paying cash or using outside financing, you make it clear from the start and you make it non-negotiable. You say, I'm paying cash, or I have my own financing, and I'm not interested in dealer financing under any circumstances. And when it's time to close, you don't leave without the title or a clear timeline for when you'll receive it. If they start stalling, you say, if there's a problem completing this transaction today, I'm going to assume the deal's not happening and I'll go somewhere else. Most of the time, the title shows up real fast after that. Here's the thing about all 7 of these scams. They're not dramatic. They're not the kind of thing where you walk out of the dealership and immediately know you got screwed. They're quiet, they're incremental, and they're designed to look like normal parts of the car buying process so you don't question them. That's what makes them so effective. The old scams were loud and obvious. The new ones are woven into the fabric of the deal so tightly that you don't even see them until you sit down months later and do the math and realize you paid $8,000 more than you thought you did. I helped run these plays for years. I watched customers who thought they were smart, who thought they negotiated a good deal, walk out with loans that were going to cost them an extra 10 grand over 5 years. And I knew they didn't see it, because we built the system so they wouldn't. I'm out now. I'm done. And I'm telling you this because somebody needs to. The game changed, and if you're still playing by the old rules, you're going to lose. Watch the next video if you want more insider tips.